Hi guys, and welcome once again to Jonesy's vlog. So it is a Wednesday. I'm doing a reaction vlog to a midweek Leeds United match that was on a Tuesday night, and I'm actually reacting to a win. We actually won away from home on a Tuesday night. First time we've done it since 2011, and I was not expecting it at all. So also those of you that don't know, as if you wouldn't know, we were away at Bournemouth last night, down at Dean's Court, or whatever it's called now, the Gold Sands or something. You know, last season we got an absolute pasting down there, ended up 4-1, but I think we were 3-0 down after 29 minutes. And obviously with all the changes that's been going on this season, you know, I think a lot of people really were going down there sort of just being happy maybe to come away with a draw. I mean, I know I was, I'd have been over the moon coming away with a draw, but I really didn't expect to sort of get a win, because Bournemouth are a really good side, very good footballing side. You know, they're quite good at home. You know, this season, they started off well, but the past few games just hasn't quite gone their way. But it was still, you know, it's a difficult place to go and get a victory anyway down at Bournemouth. Went down to the beanbag that Leeds United were doing at the Pavilion at Ellen Road, which was really fantastic. It was absolutely packed out. I think there were just over 1,000 people there. Really great atmosphere. Got a free pie, free pint. It were fantastic. I mean, you can't go wrong with that. Yeah, well, I say free pint, a free pint. You paid £10 for your ticket and you got a pie and pint included, but whatever. But yeah, just really good to get the opportunity to see a game that, you know, it's very difficult to get to in a, you know, a midweek game, especially that, you know, that far south. I mean, the game started off very much like last year, really. We just didn't really get into it. Bournemouth absolutely pummeled us and scored a pretty early goal. I think it was only, was it 5 or 6 minutes in when they got their goal, but it was just, you know, a lot of pressure, a lot of dominance from them, and it just paid off with a poor clearance from us from the box. And you know, let's be fair, a very decent finish from Sermon. I think at that point, a lot of us, well, I know I was probably expecting us to crumble, and we were maybe expecting sort of very similar to last season. But you know, fair play to us and credit to us, we sort of dug in there, and we stuck at it. The rest of the first half, you know, it wasn't great. It was very similar to the Birmingham match, in that, you know, in that first half we just never really got going. You know, the passing was all off. You know, I'd say in the Birmingham game we seemed to have more about us, even though the execution wasn't there. There seemed to be more about us there. Whereas last night there didn't seem to be any ideas there. There was a lot of sort of hoofing the ball up, a lot of sort of hit and hope, and it just wasn't quite working out. But the good thing was that, like I say, we did, you know, dig in there, we got stuck in and sort of held out until half time and didn't concede any more goals, which, you know, like I said, the way Bournemouth started, you know, they were absolutely running rings round us. But luckily for the rest of that half, they never really looked too dangerous. You know, Silvestri pulled off some more great saves. I mean, for me, you know, he's definitely been the find of the summer so far. He's turned out to be a really top keeper. You know, he's been keeping us in a lot of games recently. So, but yeah, you know, apart from a few chances, you know, they didn't look too dangerous, Bournemouth. So, you know, to get into half time just 1-0 down, everyone was really happy with that. You know, it was quite a relief, because, you know, we could regroup and just try and get back in the game. And we definitely did get back in the game. You know, there was a lot more sort of spirit to our attack. I mean, it did start to show towards the end of the first half. Don't get me wrong, you know, we did start really getting into the game a bit more, but like I say, the execution just still wasn't there. And, you know, the final third, which always seems to be our problem at the moment, you know, there was just no real chances being created as such. But bright points, you know, Dukara was looking really sharp. You know, he seemed to be involved in nearly every attack. Antonucci looked a little bit sort of sharper as well than what he did against Birmingham. and although we had a slow start, Lewis Cook started getting more into the game towards the end of the half as well. So then into the second half, and we really did sort of start to get into our stride. You know, getting forward even more, looking a bit more comfortable and controlled on the ball, which we were looking a bit panicky in the first half. Like I say, a lot of aimless, hopeless sort of long balls going upfield. Still looked fairly solid defensively. Belushi was looking a bit dodgy, to be honest. He quite a few times he misjudged the ball, very similar to like he did against Watford. He was just making a few mistakes here and there, and it was a bit of a worry for me. And I mean, I said to my mate who I went with, you know, I personally would have taken him off at that point. That would have been a stupid mistake, it would have turned out. So yeah, I mean, the second half was going on. Although I didn't really believe that we were going to get back into the game. I didn't believe Bournemouth were going to extend their lead. Like I say, I didn't think they were too dangerous, to be honest. But we still weren't just doing enough at that point to sort of to get back in the game, and we still hadn't created any clear-cut chances. We made a few substitutions. We brought Cooper on at left back for Warnock, who I don't know whether he had an injury or a little niggle or something. I haven't really read any reports, I don't know why, but he didn't seem happy to be going off anyway. And again, I thought Warnock was really solid. I think he's been probably one of our most solid players all season, Stephen Warnock. So yeah, I was surprised to see him go off, and Billy Sharp came off, and Sam Byram came on to sort of play a more attacking role, which was good to see. So yeah, anyway, then the first real opportunity that we created, and actually, you know, execution in that final third, created our equaliser. A fantastically weighted through ball from Bianchi. Great run by De Cara, and an even better finish. It was such a fantastic finish from the big man. Like I say, since coming back from his injury and playing, you know, the weekend against Birmingham, he seems like a really different player to what he was before that injury. You know, he's just all over the pitch. You know, he's on both sides. You know, looked really comfortable on the ball, getting stuck in there, and you know, he was rewarded with a goal, and you know, really well deserved goal as well. And then at that point, it was starting to look up again. You know, Bournemouth did get back into it a little bit more. They sort of realised that they had to get on it a bit more. You know, their crowd started getting behind them a little bit. Well, not getting behind and getting on top of them, shall I say. You know, they seemed to be getting a little bit impatient with them. And then we got a free kick about 30 yards out, and I saw Rudy Austin sort of standing around it. I thought, well, it seems like his kind of range, but then he moved away and saw that Belushi was over it. Now at this point, my mate had decided to go to the toilet, so I just turned to the guy that was sat next to me, and I just started shaking my head like, why is he taking it? Because we hadn't seen him take a free kick before, and I just couldn't understand why his, you know, centre backs don't usually take free kicks. And literally 2 seconds after shaking my head, I was jumping up and down like an absolute madman. My God, what a free kick that was! What an absolute fantastic finish that was. I mean, that was quite ironic that, you know, we haven't seen any top class, decent precision free kicks being scored like that since Ian Hart days. So the fact that he was on the pitch at the same time, I did find quite funny actually. But to be honest, that's actually probably one of the best free kicks I've seen scored by anyone in a Leeds shirt. The precision on it, the fact it clipped the bar as it went in, just kind of added to the spectacle and everything. And the celebrations afterwards were even better. You know, that all the team pretty much sort of sprinting to the away fans. You know, all absolute scenes in the pavilion. It looked like it was amazing at the ground as well. And yeah, actually, I still can't believe it. I still can't get over it, to be honest with you. So obviously, you know, delighted for him. You know, considering he hadn't had a great game, but completely redeeming himself with that absolute wonder strike. And you know, like I say, even after that, obviously Bournemouth was still pressing forward. You know, trying to get that equaliser and throwing everything at us. But I never felt they were going to score. They still didn't seem that that dangerous in attack. You know, there were no clear opportunities. You know, Silvestri still looked really solid. You know, in net he was coming and gathering crosses and punching it away quite easily. And then just to cap it all off, you know, a well-deserved goal for Antonucci at the end. You know, I'm so pleased for him that he's finally got that first goal. You know, there were a few critics of him after Saturday against Birmingham, which I think was a little bit unfair. You know, it hadn't gone right for him that day. You know, he'd be the first to admit that. But you know, it finally just came off, and you know, all those times that he'd been offside, you know, that he just got his movement so pin perfect last night. I mean, you know, he was inches from being offside, but he just timed that run perfectly. You know, it was a good interception at the back, fantastic ball through from Dekara, and a brilliant one-on-one, you know, cool, calm finish from Antonucci. And just really pleased that he's got off the mark, because that'll do his confidence a world of good. So, you know, like I say, at half time, if someone had said we'll win this 3-1, then, you know, I'd have said that you're a crazy man. But yeah, that second half performance, again, a fantastic, gritty performance, I'll say, because it still wasn't perfect. You know, things still weren't quite working out with the passing and everything, but it started to come together a bit more, and it was just one of those games where we stuck in there, we held our ground from the back, and you know, we just hit them when we had the chance in that second half, and just felt so refreshing after a game like that, to get a victory like that, you know, on a Tuesday night. You know, even better. You know, it just leaves you with such a refreshing, you know, fantastic feeling, and just so much to move on from, and just so much to get from that result and that performance. And you just hope that the players do get that. And I think the only way it can get better now is just, you know, that it seems to be the second half performances that are getting us through matches. If we can just start to transfer that more into the first half, and you know, not be going behind all the time and having to rely to come back into games, because you know, you can't do that all season. You know, you can't rely on that. We need to start getting these, you know, 90-minute performances in, instead of just 45, 50-minute performances. But that will come. You know, it's still a team gelling together. You know, there were changes last night from the starting 11 on Saturday, so you know, it's still all got to come together. But it's just looking so much better than what it was about a month ago. For me, Dekara was my man of the match easily. You know, I think he just got involved in everything and put such a solid 90 minutes in. He deserved man of the match for me, but it could quite easily, you know, I think some people had said Antonucci put a lot of work in, which he did. Even Billy Sharp, you know, I felt sorry for him that he had to come off, and that you know, he didn't quite get his chance, because I think he put a really fantastic shift in. Should have probably got a penalty really in the first half. I can't quite see how that wasn't given. But like I say, you know, the rest of the team, Silvestri again made some decent saves. Lewis Cook again came back into the game, you know, went on some amazing runs and showed off his speed, which was really nice to see. Bianchi seemed to have a much better game. He seemed a bit quiet recently, so it was good to see him back on form. And yeah, like I said, just the whole team, a fantastic team performance at the end of the day to come back from going 1-0 down, and a great, you know, win and victory and performance going into the weekend against Huddersfield. You know, Huddersfield have you know, obviously not had a great start to their season. You know, sacked the manager after one game. Just got Chris Powell in, who you know, is a top guy and very much a respected manager, and he'll probably end up getting it right there at the club. But like I say, you know, they've not had some good performances and results as of yet this season. But that kind of all changes when it comes into a derby match. You know, form goes out the window completely. So you know, I'm really looking forward to it. Obviously, it's, you know, should be a top atmosphere, and just hope for a top game with, you know, obviously the right outcome and right result for us. You know, if, like I say, if we can turn those second 45 minutes against Birmingham and Bournemouth, and just collate that into one big 90-minute performance, and just have a less nervy sort of game, and just get a really convincing win under the belt, I think would be really good for everyone. So yeah, I think that's pretty much all I got to say, guys. So obviously, let me know your thoughts, those of you that made the really long journey down to Bournemouth. You know, let me know your thoughts, what it was like actually being there at the game. Other people that also went to the pavilion like me, or that were in Billy's bar, let me know your thoughts on the game and what you thought of the event as well. You know, the beanbag, for me, I think it was great. I hope they do a lot more of them. And also give me your predictions going into the game on Saturday against Huddersfield. So yeah, you can do that in the comments below, or at my Twitter at ChrisJonesLUFC. So as always, thank you very much for watching, guys, and I'll see you all very soon.